step forward.
Hey, y'all know what it is. We back. It's a new year, a new show. It's In and Out Podcast. Welcome back, guys. How y'all doing? We here and we jigging.
I was good before this unnecessary music.
All right, so let's go.
Copyright.
Hey,
Copyright. Claim it all. Claim it all.
Not at all. You already know I do my research. This is In and Out Podcast. I'm your co-host C Diesel. To the left of me, I have Lelouch V. To the right of me, I have Professor E. King of the Comics, Ethan Murphy, and we are back 2023 for the In and Out Podcast. Welcome back, guys. How y'all doing?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I'm what Otis said, but the other end. I'm good, man. I'm good. How you feeling there, Deb? How you feeling there, Mr. ATL Worldwide? Clean and trim beard.
Hey, I'm good, man. You know, beard's clean. My soul's at a good spot right now. I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. Podcast is doing well. Hey, man, I can't ask for more. So, guys,
this your first episode from the new crib, too, right?
We'll have a better view of everything once I get the actual place set up. Until now, you just get to see my lovely face for now.
Okay, all right.
So, guys, we have a loaded docket for the day. We have 2 segments, and we also are going to be reviewing Netflix's new show, Kaleidoscope, starring Juan. I always fuck up his name. Giancarlo Esposito. There you go. And my girl
Gustavo Fring. Gustavo Fring.
Gustavo. Okay. Hey. First off, we'll get Otis's thoughts. We'll go from left to right. Knock it out old-fashioned style. Brother. Oh, how do you feel about the series? Give a brief overview before we get into it.
I think it's pretty solid. I don't necessarily know why they try to push the whole narrative of, well, watch it in so many orders, because for the most part, it does end up at the one place. I mean, there's only one place it really can go. I guess you can have a slightly different perspective based off of certain things, but there is a clear beginning, certain middle, and a definite end.
Yeah.
That's a good point, though. It's like, if the episode is still the same 9 episodes, it's like there's a different set of 9 episodes, right?
Pretty much, yeah. So from the kind of play off of Otis's point there, I kind of feel the same, in which I feel like if you watch like 2 of the episodes, I think you started from beginning to end, right, Otis?
No, I watched it in chronological order. So like from 80 something to where 2 weeks after the heist. So it's like 6 months. I'm sorry, 6 months after the heist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And I watched all the episodes in reverse order. So I started from the last one and worked my way up. I feel like once you get to episode like 2 or 3, once you watch those 2, I feel like you kind of get a general synopsis of everything that happens within the series and the relationship between characters and the actual events that transpire. You kind of just get filled in on details, which I think in the very first intro thing you do before you start the series, they tell you it says puzzle. So it's saying that you get to witness this crime and get details in from each part. So I think that was well done as far as getting to watch each thing and you getting details without, well, it's kind of spoiling the whole thing. It's weird. It's well done. It doesn't seem too crazy and out of. It's pretty well done. It's to me personally, because you're getting this thing from different perspectives and you're getting details filled in, and that could have been done really. It could have been done really bad because it seemed really gimmicky to me when I first started watching it.
Well, I mean, it's obviously there's a gimmick aspect to it. Like I watched it in like the I'm not sure what the color was, because they have episodes aren't numbered, they're colored. So the episode I watched was one that starts off with Giancarlo Esposito in prison. Then the next one was yellow. The next one after was violet. The next one was orange. But the thing about it was that they were very much out of chronological order. So you would see an episode where you see him talking to his daughter grown up, and they are on the outs. Then the next episode, they were in cahoots. Then the next episode, you see a flashback to why him and the person that his daughter works for are now no longer partnered, or how they were partners back in the day. Then the next episode is it's like, okay, so it's a weird way of kind of piecing together things, but it's at the same time with each episode, it's almost like each episode's a reveal or a twist in and of itself too.
Yeah. So honestly, to me, the show probably could have been better if they would have just done it like a traditional beginning to end. To me, I mean, this worked, but I think for most people, it kind of seemed kind of weird and kind of awkward to me. If they would have just, because the story is great, it's a great story, great writing, great acting to me. I don't see too many like far out bad things that stick out, but I think it could have been better if it was just traditionally start to finish. But I give them props for trying something innovative with this show. But I still think it works, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so in seeing it chronologically, like I saw things unfold as they were meant to over time, but I can see where they intentionally left spaces in episodes for a reveal to happen in the order that they initially listed them in. Like to a degree, I understood why it happened, but I don't know if it necessarily helped the story.
Right.
I do. I like that they were willing to experiment and try to see how that would work. I don't think that is a concept that is undoable, but I do
Mhm.
be fine tuned a little bit. So we will see how it looks going forward if they do more content like this. But this one here, uh, I think it just makes most sense chronologically.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For me in particular, with the problem I had with it is not the problem, but I think what could be done better is to make sure that you're not. It makes sure that you're more, I guess, stingy with the details of what was going on. Because, like I said before, I feel like you get a lot of information within like 1 or 2 episodes that kind of you kind of know what's happening throughout the rest of it. So you want to see things that happen, but if I watched an episode and had no idea what's going on, like what was going on with this particular character or this thing, then I'd probably be more incentivized or more excited to watch more of it.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't know how much of it I would have finished on my own if I didn't have to watch it for the podcast.
Hmm.
Because I feel like I could have watched like half of it. I'm like, all right, cool, that's what happens. Because for me, starting to be bottom to the top, I see the end parts, what happened to characters, and then once I get to like green or yellow is when I learn the motivations and how things got there to start with.
Mhm.
So I'm like, do I need to watch these like the last 2 to 3?
Yeah, and then I think that's the biggest, most fair assessment right there. Is like, do I need to watch these things? Are these things crucially important to me appreciating this show? And I don't know that some of these things are. I haven't seen all the episodes. I've seen just like maybe half of them or so, roughly.
The
But it
third.
is an interesting idea, just in and of itself. The idea that based on the order, because the same thing with people, essentially, it's your first impression of people or first impression of things does determine how you perceive them later on. And obviously that's what they're trying to do is kaleidoscope. So it's a very interesting idea, a thought experiment.
Mhm.
The execution may be a little wonky, but at the same time, I'm glad they're trying something different. What was that movie that they used to have on? It came out on Netflix, but it was a movie that was almost like an interactive movie. It came out like a few years ago, and depending on what you did when the prompts came up on Netflix, it would have a completely different experience. You might die sometimes. You may have a completely different ending. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
saw it and
actually.
I immediately skipped past it. I didn't want anything to do with it.
Was it like a
Fair
horror
enough.
thing or something, or
What do you say, Dev?
was it like horror based or something like that,
Not
or
exactly a horror. It was an episode of a movie from Black Mirror of some kind. It was like in association with Black Mirror, this new type of thing. But all that is to say that always appreciate when storytelling is trying to be more innovative, and I'm glad Netflix is trying to do more innovative things with their storytelling. So yeah, I mean the old expression that the first one through the door is always when they always get the bloodiest, essentially.
right?
Yeah, you make some faux pas, make some mistakes. I get you, but you're trying something different. So
It is a
on.
good concept, though. That's something I'd like to see expounded upon.
Yeah.
Real quick, appreciate it, Liv. Thanks for popping in, showing some love. But to move on real quick, as far as to break it down again to the actual, let's start with the acting in particular. What were some standout performances you guys saw out of the series in particular?
Stand out?
Yeah, anybody stand out to you?
No.
Yeah, I don't know that standout is the word I'd use for any of these performances. From
Like,
what
I
I
think
saw.
Giancarlo did a solid job.
Mhm.
I forgot I don't know the actress's name, but the one that played Ava, she was solid.
Mhm.
Ava,
What's Bob?
Perez.
What's her name's husband? I
Oh,
mean,
John Courtney. John
That
Courtney.
was
he did his job well. Like, I mean, say
And it
what
was
you want
Paz
about how you
Vega.
feel about his character,
He
but
was hateable. Right from the
he
jump.
he did what he was supposed to do very well.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't call any of the performances stand out. Like they were what they were supposed to be.
Right.
Mhm.
It felt the performances almost felt like this is what like CW is trying to do essentially,
Hmm.
but
Mhm.
not good enough for like to be in the theater or any kind of awards. It's kind of like this is what if we just have trained actors doing CW work. This is what you're getting.
So Ava Mercer's name, her actor name is Paz Vega. I'm probably pronouncing it
It's
wrong.
probably pause, right?
Um,
PAZ.
I ain't gonna lie, for like a good like 5 minutes, I was like, "Is that fucking Salma Hayek?" I'm like, "No, wait,
No, it's not.
fuck no,
Oh
it's not."
no. No, you're trying to say that all all Latin American women.
No, it is like they sound similar. They have like similar facial features to me. But I guess it's just me then. For me, I feel like Giancarlo, maybe it's just because he has just like a unique charisma and way about acting that makes him stand out to me. I can't think of any other actors that kind of does what he does in the way that he does it. And I think he tried to get a little bit more range in this one.
Come on, Charlie.
I keep forgetting that nigga's name. We have the same name. That shit fucked me up. Yeah, with him, yeah, I enjoyed his performance a lot too. I also thought that in the moments they gave Tati, at least maybe not as much her acting. The part I enjoyed she did the most was that I can't get into details. I don't want to spoil too much stuff, but there's a sequence in which she's doing. Well, she's stealing something.
Right, it's a heist. It's a heist series, so she's heisting.
Essentially, yeah. And the way that was set up and done, and it was done through narration. Like it wasn't any audio of them talking. It was just body acting and just them doing things. I thought that was really well done. It's sort of moments like that. I think the show is full of like little moments like that is really well written and well done, but it doesn't. They don't keep that quality. I feel like throughout the entire thing.
I don't know if I would necessarily call it well written. It is well thought. Like it was. You can clearly say that they were very intentional in how they filmed their scenes. They made it so that like no matter where you are and ambiguously you can still understand the story if you go through it. But I can't necessarily like say like there was anything in there that was like, oh man, like this was a real astonishing thing. It was very standard.
I can't say that because I don't see too many things that have that level of quality.
So that's like but they're even on. There was a show called The Heist. It wasn't called The Heist. The one that was
The Mask,
Spanish.
the Vendetta Mask or some shit like that. Money Heist or something. Was that what it was?
The one from Spain. You went from Spain. That had like 5 seasons.
Yeah, I never watched.
Charlie,
it's called Money Heist, right?
Money Heist, right? Money Heist. Yeah. Money Heist was a better version of this because the characters were better acted. The characters were better well drawn. It was better acting. The heist itself, they put more effort into it. The loss and the risk. That was a better version of a show like this, so to speak. Like a long form storytelling about people robbing something. Right. So there are other examples out there on Netflix of this type of scenario that are portrayed better. Again, the gimmick of you watching it in different orders is the biggest aspect, I think. But the problem with that was they didn't really seem to be necessary. You could watch it straightforward to be just as compelling. So.
My point being,
and honestly, even in watching it in order, like there were so many things that were done redundantly. I was just like, man, I see why you didn't put it in this order because people would have been bored.
Yeah.
So some of the plot was kind of weird to me. As far, I'm not gonna get into too many spoilers because the show just came out recently, so I don't want to spoil things. But all in all, y'all just want to get into ratings, or is there anything in particular that stands out that you guys want to talk on as far as the show goes?
Yeah, we do have to. There's one thing we have to mention to give a special shout out to, of course, which is our boys' hair pieces. Netflix has shown that they love going ham with hair pieces here. So the question on the table is who did it better, the hair piece on Lance Reddick in Resident Evil, or the hair piece on Giancarlo Esposito when he's supposed to be, I don't know, 20 years younger or so.
I didn't even try to watch Resident Evil.
Define better.
The one that you stood up and applauded more when you saw on their head.
That was not my reaction to either. I mean, I think I cringed less at Giancarlo's, but only by like a couple like centimeters of cringing, like like that, how you like tighten your muscles up when you cringe. And I think yes. I tightened my muscles a little bit less for Giancarlo's, but it was pretty cringy either way.
But it's really cringy, and it's funny that boy Charlie put in here 2.8. That's gotta these are the ratings we would give to the hair pieces also.
Yeah, I don't think that's accurate. I think 2.8 is a little wild. That's a little dragging it. I don't think it's that bad.
But again, we can't speak to that. That's what
2.8 is crazy.
I'm not sure what Google had, but it made me happy just to see people trying something different. It was cool to see Giancarlo Esposito being able to be kind of the lead a series. He wasn't like obviously he's in Star Wars. I'm sorry, not Star Wars. He's in Mandalorian. He's in The Boys. he's in Breaking Bad, but he's not the lead character in any of them. In this one, he is more or less the lead in this ensemble piece, which is kind of fun. His hairpiece was definitely the standout of standouts. I would give that thing is just like, wow. He actually went swimming in it. He went swimming in with that thing on. I was like, that's so many choices, and all of them worked. I guess
I'm dear. I guess the bald headed nigga doesn't care too much about the hair. I wasn't looking at the hair too bad. I wasn't checking for it like that.
I was like, because the thing was the way in the order I watched it, I saw old ass Giancarlo in prison and whatnot, and then I saw young ass Giancarlo. I was like, wow, they actually so they went ham with that like hair piece. I would have gone much more subtle. They said, nah, let's go like the Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction. Got that fro was like decisions made. That's kind of how I felt with this too. But anyways, I'm done.
I will say one thing that this show did show me that I want to see Giancarlo in roles like this, like that older end of life reflective role. Because Buddy kicked that. He killed that shit.
Sorry.
A doll to put back cotton on his. Oh damn, that's crazy.
I
ain't watched. Once I saw a picture of Wesker, I was like, yeah, I'm cool on that. I was like, I'm not watching.
I mean, that show was indeed comedy, but it wasn't supposed to be. Not Kaleidoscope. We're talking about Resident Evil. Like this was okay. Like it didn't necessarily do anything bad. The gimmick was okay too, I guess, but like this is just really okay. This is mid. This is really mid to me.
It's pretty much the definition of mid.
But it was very mid. I didn't get any like no performances like wowed me. Nothing about the plot or story wowed me. Like, I mean, yeah, getting into that vault was extra as fuck. Like, that was the most extra vault that I've ever seen in a thing, but that doesn't actually like improve the quality of this series at all. It's just like, wow, you Final Destination vaults.
I don't know if niggas can you even make a vault like that? Like that shit was like fucking impenetrable, damn near.
Final Destination vaults. That's awesome.
Like, yeah, because I mean, with the Final Destination movies, all they were trying to do is just one up the kills by trying to make them more and more like intricate and elaborate. And that's what this safe was. It's just like, oh, okay, yep, cool.
Yeah,
it's like they looked at Ocean's 11 and took all the things that nobody cared about and put them into the series.
Which is a problem. Yeah. Why Ocean's 11 works is because it's based on the idea of the intrigue. You don't know exactly how they're going to do what they're going to do, but you do have an inkling that things are going to go wrong, and it's fun to see how they adapt to it and everything else like that. So yeah. One last thing I'll say real quick is I know before we get into the ratings, as experts have watched Ocean's 11 and other heist movies like Heat and those things, they always say that the biggest problem that they always have in films and movies, or films and TV, is they always have a crew trying to rob something. And that's one of the dumbest things you can do, is because the more people you have involved in a job, the more people you have to spill the beans to somebody about it. So for things to go wrong. Obviously, like a Jack Courtney or whatnot, someone that can just open their mouth about anything. That's why oftentimes with real jobs, it's always in the family. It's like a brother or two brothers, or a dad and a son, or whatever it might be, because it's got to be very close knit and someone you would trust with your life, so to speak. So
because literally you probably are trusting with your life at that point.
You literally are. That's the whole.
They brought in Bob. I was like, are y'all niggas really bringing this dude? Especially after that one snafu that happened where he fucked up. I'm like, y'all still using this nigga?
Still using it.
I'm like,
I know you did his wife and all, but still, I mean, god damn.
That's wild. Also, Saudi. Never mind. I mean, not get into that. Yeah, y'all want to go into the rating now?
Yeah, it's a
Simping ain't pimping. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yes, Charlie, you're right. Charlie, not I showed Charlie, but in the chat, Charlie. Yes, it looks like PS2. It looks exactly like that. It looks like PS2 era. Like if you create your own player and custom play at the beginning of the game, that's what that is. Deceased. Okay.
Hey, keeping it a buck. I've seen a lot of niggas that don't want to let it go here looking like that in real life. Niggas don't want to let it go, and they should be looking just like that.
That's the sad part right there. Is you're not wrong at all.
That's the sad part.
I'm like, bro, that happens.
Yeah, but scoring this out of 10, I give it a 7. No, I give it like a 6.5. 6.5.
You going generous? Okay.
I give it a 7.
I haven't seen the whole thing, but from what I've seen, I will give it a 6. 6.5 because of the hairpiece. That hairpiece was tight.
No, it gets the half because of Giancarlo Esposito's motivations. While very eclectic and like over the top, like he could have made his stuff a lot simpler. It did make sense, Like, I mean, knowing how their history went and knowing why he was after the guy that he was, like, that made sense. That single thing improves this by 0.5 points for me. But
That's
besides
fair.
that, it was just it's just
That's
6.
fair. Have y'all ever seen, not to get too far off topic, have y'all ever seen Kaiji Ultimate Survivor? The anime. Have you seen it, Otis? Long story short, it's all about a person who has a really bad, who's in extreme debt. And more or less, he has to do a whole bunch of insane things trying to survive to get enough money. In a lot of ways, it's like an anime version of Squid Games before Squid Games. But the thing about that was I've seen that stuff beforehand as far as doing heist jobs or doing something extreme or something clever. So having that level of cleverness put into storytelling, when you have things that are much more mid, it stands out that much more. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm more familiar with the trope than I am. So I haven't seen too many things in volume that are of quality when it comes to like the heist stuff like that. But it is what it is. All right, guys.
A period of time where like those were like everything. It was that the town
after Ocean's 11, especially.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to get into one of our segments. This is going to be the return of one of my favorite segments, Diesel's Chronicles. Okay, guys, this is going to be a story that some people may be familiar with. This is pretty much a stalking story. We are setting the setting to New Jersey at the address of 657. What was it? 657 Boulevard. Essentially, the Brodus family, Maria and Derek Brodus, moved. They buy there. I guess they got a good bit of money because they buy this huge house for $1.3 million in New Jersey, and they're again married couple with kids, perfect suburban life. As the husband Derek is in the house, he wants to go visit just to kind of get a feel for seeing his house. He's like, hey, I just bought this house. I'm gonna go check the mail, just to get the feel of what it's gonna be like to check the mail in my slippers and shit. And when he gets there, he uncovers this letter, and I will read this letter verbatim. Dearest new neighbor of 657 Boulevard, allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood. How did you end up here? Did 657 Boulevard call you with its force within? 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades now. As it approaches its 110th birthday, I've been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched this house in the 1920s, and my father watched in the 1960s. It is now my time. Who am I? There are hundreds and hundreds of cars that drive by 657 Boulevard each day. Maybe I'm in one. Look at all the windows you can see from 657 Boulevard. Maybe I'm in one. Look out to as many windows in 657 at all the people who stroll by each day. Maybe I am one. You have children. I've seen them. So far, I think there are 3 that I've counted. Do you need to fill the house with young blood? I requested. Better for me, was your old house too small for growing your family, or was it greed to bring me your children? Once I know their names, I will call to them and draw them to me. So pretty much like a regular person, Derek freaked the fuck out. Him and his wife freaked the fuck out, and they went through
this whole story that you have is a series that's on Netflix right now called The Watcher.
Yeah, I was about to say that they bought the rights to this story. This is the real life story that happened, and they bought the rights to it. Yeah. I think some of the stuff is fabricated in that show, obviously, but this is a real thing. Obviously, Derek and Maria are reacting as regular people would and freaking the fuck out that they got this weird ass letter in this house that they just bought. So instead of just moving in outright, they kind of stay in their old house they're in, which they sold. So they're kind of waiting for the new people to get there, but they're going to kind of sit it out until they figure out what the fuck's going on. In Derek's mind, he's just going to keep, because they're re-innovating the house as well to kind of make it set for their family, which I'm like, I don't know how much you'd have to change in a $1.3 million house with like a garden and shit, but hey, to reach people their own. But as it's going on, they're putting money into the house, and then after a while, they get a second letter. In this second letter, the watcher proceeds to say, 657 Boulevard is anxious for you to move in. It has been years and years since the young blood ruled the hallways of the house. Have you found all the secrets it holds yet? Will the young blood play in the basement, or are they too afraid to go down there alone? I would be. I would be very afraid if I were them. It is far away from the rest of the house. If you were upstairs, you would never hear them scream. Will they sleep in the attic, or will you all sleep on the second floor? Who has the bedrooms facing the street? I'll know as soon as you move in. It will help me know it will help me to know who's in each bedroom so I can plan better. All of the windows and doors in 657 allow me to watch you and track you as you move through the house. Who am I? I am the watcher, and I have been in control of 657 for the better part of 2 decades now. The Woods family turned it over to you. It was in their time to move on as kindly sold it when I asked them to. I pass by many times a day. 657 is my job, my life, my obsession. And now you are too, Brodus family. Welcome to the product of your greed. Greed is what brought the past 3 families to 657, and now it has brought you to me. Have a happy moving in day, and you know I will be watching.
Jesus.
So being even more creepy. So pretty much at this point, Derek and his wife are freaking the fuck out again. Derek obviously is calling the police and asking around town to try to figure out what the fuck's going on. Derek goes and calls the previous family that lived in the house and asks them have they got any weird letters like this as well. That family then says they didn't get anything until they were leaving the house, in which the watcher was thanking them for leaving, pretty much. And obviously they call the cops and they're asking around the neighborhood, and there's a family that apparently stays 2 houses over that one of the neighbors tells them about. He's like, hey, they have a son who's really fucking weird, and he wanders around people's yards and looks in people's windows and shit. He may be a key suspect to this weird shit that's going on to you. So obviously Derek tells the police. The police tell him, yeah, he was our first suspect that we brought in and we questioned. But when we did the DNA sample on the letters, it says that the letters were from a woman. Dude had a brother as well. Now that family had a sister as well, but apparently she was found to not be the culprit as well. Now we're one of not knowing who the fuck it is. And as this is going around, and they're not because they haven't moved into the house at all yet, and them being in a bougie white suburban neighborhood, obviously if the house is 1.3 million, all the neighbors are starting to talk shit and ask about why the family isn't moving in yet. Is it because they're getting a divorce or they're weird or da. People are being people. And so that means that the kids, as they're going to school, are being social pariahs and people are talking shit about your family and things of that nature. So after a while, Derek is really just getting fed the fuck up, and he's getting annoyed. He's like making it an obsession in which he's installing cameras everywhere. He's sitting at the window trying to find out who the fuck is there. And then he's doing a whole bunch. She's hiring detectives, like ex-FBI agents and people that are experts in handwriting to try to figure out what the fuck is going on with this person watching the house. So as this goes on, he gets another letter. So there are 2 more letters. And the 3rd letter is still addressed to Derek and his family. The 3rd letter says 657 is turning on me. It is coming after me. I don't understand why. What spell did you cast on it? It used to be my friend, and now it is my enemy. I'm in charge of 657 Boulevard. It is not in charge of me. I will fend off its bad thing. I will fend off its bad things and wait for it to become good again. It will not punish me. I will rise again. I will be patient and wait for this to pass and for you to bring the young blood back to me. 657 needs young blood. It needs you. Come back. Let the young blood play again like I once did. Let the young blood sleep in 657 and stop changing it and let it alone. So Buddy is getting kind of annoyed.
Well, can I ask you a question real quick? So during all this time, the people that are getting these letters are just like, I guess, are they still going to move into this place? Or where this?
During this whole point in time, the family is still staying at their previous house.
Okay,
but
so they're not.
The funny thing is getting on now is that the people that because they sold their old house, they bought this new house. The people they sold it to is finally ready to move in, and it's getting to the point now to where they move in, but they're still staying with that family, like they're living with them for a time. They don't
so the family that's moving into their old house, which is where they are, they're all in that one place together because they're afraid to move into. Couldn't they just is the option for them to not move into 657 on the table? Could they say, look, I'm raising escrow, let's just go somewhere else?
No, because funny enough, what happened was they put all that money into that house, and that was a large. I don't know why they did this shit. If they weren't that well off, but they put majority of the money they had into this house, and then put another $100,000 into renovating it. So they literally were damn near broke. So at one, they can't get that back. And then when they proceeded to try to sell the house to make that money back to move out, because all the news from the gossiping around town is going on, nobody's wanted to buy the house.
The house is cursed.
And then after a while, the news they file a lawsuit because they're pissed off at the people that sold them the house previously because of the Wood family. Because hey, you had the house beforehand, and you should have known these letters were coming to people beforehand, and you withheld that information from us, which you knew would have made us not want to buy the house. Now we're going to take you to court over that. But
right.
So
not disclosing. Yeah.
Exactly. What fucked them up is that once they did that, news cycles started to pick it up, and it started to get popularized everywhere. And now, not just people in that town know about it, but people around the country and around the world know about this weird ass crazy shit that's going on. So nobody's buying the house. So they literally they tried to sell it initially to try to make a profit and make their money back, but then he had to keep dropping the price until they're point where they're just in a deficit and nobody's still buying the house. Nobody wants to touch it with the 10-foot pole.
And I'm guessing the mystery is they never do figure out who the watcher is.
We'll see. Hold on. The last part. So essentially, after all that shit happens, they eventually finally get a family that's willing to rent the house at least, so they can try to make some money back. But they let them know, like, hey, if you get a letter and you're being weird, we're not going to fuck you over like we got fucked over. You can break your contract and you can dip out if it's too scary for you. Okay. And as the other family's in 2 weeks into the other family being there, they get one final letter. And this last letter came in 2017. It says, "You wonder who the watcher is. Turn around, idiots. Maybe you even spoke to me. One of the so-called neighbors who has an idea who the watcher could be, or maybe you do know and are too scared to tell anyone. Good move. I walked by the news trucks when they took over my neighborhood and mocked me. I watched as you watched from the dark house in an attempt to find me. Telescopes and binoculars are wonderful inventions. 657 Boulevard survived your attempted assault and stood strong with his army of supporters barricading its gates. My soldiers of the boulevard, followed by my orders to a T, they carried out their mission and saved the soul of 657 Boulevard with my orders. All hail the Watcher." Maybe a car accident, maybe a fire, maybe something as simple as a mild illness that never seems to go away, but makes you fell sick. Day after day after day after day after day, maybe the mysterious death of a pet, loved one suddenly died. Planes and cars and bicycles crash, bones break. And that's the end of that letter. Buddy is being really fucking with it at this point. So the theory that a lot of people had is that the husband Derek was the one that was writing the letters, because he later admitted that after a while he was writing his own ominous letters to his neighbors, because he said he was so pissed off that the town was judging him and bullying his kids and making them pariahs that he wanted them to feel how he was feeling. So that's
he was writing letters to himself, to his own house?
He was writing letters to his neighbors around them, because the people in the neighborhood were talking shit about the entire family because they weren't moving in. They were bringing all the attention to the neighborhood, all these news cameras everywhere else. Okay. So nobody in the town liked the families. They were fucking with them, bullying them or whatever, talking shit. So he wanted them to feel like he felt. So he was writing them letters. So that's one theory. But that thing, they just picked up that Netflix picked up the rights to this show, to the story. I can't remember how long ago it was, but it was a good bit after the initial event in 2013. So my whole theory, if he did this for attention in 2013 in hopes of a movie deal, I think that's kind of far-fetched. I think I haven't watched the show yet, but I'm gonna watch the show like ASAP to see what the show's theory was, even though it's probably not the most accurate. But to this day, nobody knows.
Dramatized,
right. Of course. I know it hasn't. What Naomi Watts, the girl, woman from The Ring, is up in there. That's bizarre. The idea that here's what's funny about that. You said that's 2013. Because obviously now, a decade later, it's almost even more prescient now to do something like that, a publicity stunt, trying to actually have. Because I mean, it's the social media and pariahs are even more prevalent. I know they were around in 2013, but they're much worse now. So if that is the actual dominant theory, that's most people's headcanon, is that the own dude was doing it himself. It's like that's some wild shit. And that'd be an interesting spin on the ending of the show. They did that.
Because it started in 2013 and this shit lasted until 2017 is like the last reported stuff on it that I found.
Jesus.
So
to put that into perspective, that was like right at the time, like the dawning of YouTube.
No, YouTube was around like in the early 2000s too.
I think YouTube came out, because YouTube's been around since 2010.
Before that,
way before that.
It was around like the early 2000s, like 03, 04.
Is 03, 04?
Something like that, yeah. Now, it wasn't like for people pursuing it as a career. It probably wasn't that big. People were just kind of making videos for clout and to be public people, but they didn't see it as like a career path until probably like mid 2010s, maybe.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like as far as actually paying attention was like 2010s, like around 2013, basically.
Just
Yeah.
remember, Soulja Boy did it first.
Soulja Boy did it first, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, this shit was kind of wild to me. How would you guys react in that situation where you can't really move because you've tied up almost all your money into this huge dream home, and now you have to bring your kids somewhere, and now you kind of stuck. You either move into the house or what would you do in that scenario?
I'm not putting all my money into a single home like that. Like, that's really stupid. That's how you go into debt, because shit happens in real life.
Right.
I mean, that's just a fact of life. Things happen. So putting yourself in a situation where you have literally only one place to be no matter what, that's a bad idea. Don't do it. I think that's the moral of the story. Don't do that.
Well, I will say in that situation though, you can't. One, these are white people. One, I actually have pictures of the home that I have in there. I forgot that I have pictures of the family and the home. So this is what the house looks like. Which I'm like 1.3 million for that, but it's in New Jersey.
Where is it located again?
New Jersey.
New Jersey? Is that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then here's a picture of the home with the family. That house doesn't look like 1.3 million to me, but I'm in the South, so I'm kind of probably
No, I agree. It doesn't look like it's 1.3 million, but I think what it is location. In some place in Jersey, it is possible. Jersey or Long Island, whatever, someplace up there could be possible. So.
All right. That being said, with that, it's wild as fuck. I think the family didn't have money problems initially because again they were renovating the house. I think the issues came when they were trying to sell that house. They were trying to sell the house and nobody would buy it at that point because at that point you're kind of having to live out of your old house and shit. I don't know. I don't expect for there to be a fucking serial killer watching motherfucker at the new place I'm buying, especially in the suburbs. And a white.
Yeah, but I mean, when you find a house that far below market value, because that's what how they portrayed it in the series, at least. Like they found it for a really, really cheap price compared to what it was actually valuated at, and then they were renovating it to improve upon it. So, like,
in the stories I read, the facts that I saw were that the house was a great house, and they were putting money into it to make it fit their needs, and then all that bullshit happened because it was valued at 1.3 mil.
Right?
Was it 1.3 mil in the show, or was it a lower amount than that? Or did they say?
It was 1.3 million in the show, but the actual worth of the house after the renovations was well over 4 million.
Yeah, and that went in. They couldn't recoup
over 4 million.
Mm.
But then it's also like you're saying, if they're renovating the house too, they're putting a lot of time and effort into it. It's what they put, the money they put down in it, then all the money they're investing into it, trying to fix it up and everything else. It's their dream home.
They got 3 kids. They wanted it to be like their final home to raise their children.
Yeah,
I'm a fresh millionaire, I'm not gonna buy $1 million house. It just doesn't seem practical.
Are they fresh millionaires though?
Yeah, he was. He was, and they were already falling behind on some of the money that they were. You watch the series. I'm trying to spoil this into it because some of it is part of the story as it unfolds there. But they were having financial issues before they bought the house, and it only got expanded upon when they were actually there.
Fair enough.
But here's the thing, though. The question you actually asked, Charlie, was what would you do if you were in that situation? Not would you get in that situation, but what would you do if you were in it? So if I was in my house or if I was trying to move in someplace and I got a whole bunch of crazy ass emails or letters from some crazy ass person that if I couldn't get my money back ASAP, I would just be gone. I say fuck it and leave. Because the thing is, things are only going to get worse. People are crazy. Odds are they're pretty much going to try to do something even worse to you. Your life is already getting torn apart in the media and whatnot. Your family's going to start getting more and more harassed. You got to cut your losses and bounce. That's the best thing you can do these days because crazos are real. You gotta stay safe, man.
That shit's wild. And for the fact, buddy, like he saw you see him, you looking out of a window at all days and all times of the night to try to catch somebody. Like he had binoculars and shit out of the peak of the window to try to like watch the mailbox hella heavy to see if anybody will walk past or fuck with it. And buddy saw him doing that.
Though is he's not saying any actual names. He's just saying I saw these. I mean, it could be we don't know if it's actually true or not. But the fact that someone's that determined
their children.
Oh yeah, that's
one. He does say their names.
That's one part I left out in one of the letters. Okay. He said the not just the name, but the nicknames of the children. So that means he was like on top of them. He had to be like right near them to hear that shit.
Okay. So if it is legit, then yeah. I'd I would do everything I could.
Wow.
You know, I hate police. I'd do everything I could to get the police to do something, actually help us out. If they couldn't, I'd say I'm out. I'm not gonna. My kids are in jeopardy now. My wifey, no, I'm out.
I'm getting all the guns.
Yeah.
All the guns.
Yeah.
I'm on my fucking Mr. and Mrs. Smith shit. I'm hiding the gun in every crevice of the fucking house.
I mean, but this, again, this is going off the series. I don't know how accurate this is to the show, but I mean, there are plenty of secret interests in that other people knew about better than the family that was living there at the time.
Yeah.
So I mean, you might put all those guns in there, and they, oh, thanks, you gave us more ammunition to come get you.
We'll see. I know there's a video.
You're setting yourself up at the end.
There's a video that shows like the differences between the reality and the stuff that they put in for dramatic effect in the show. Hey, if you guys are interested in the show and want to see us, like, I'm gonna watch the show regardless. I think Otis has seen it. If you guys want us to cover it, let us know in the comments. Let us know if we get enough requests for it. I don't think would you guys have an issue covering it?
I mean, I've already seen the majority of it, so I was just watching like the last couple of episodes.
We can definitely watch it. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that.
So I didn't even know there was a Facebook because I've heard about the story a long time ago, and I didn't even know Netflix had adapted it into a thing until I researched some more. Researched it more for the show. Fuck.
Yeah, I think it just dropped on Netflix like a few months ago, right? Like at the end of 2022. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
Charlie, do we have our graphics, our main ones?
Yeah. My bad. I gotta put that back up.
Are you straight? And you had to put the picture up there. Okay.
Mm-hmm. You guys ready to transition into the last segment of the day?
Not quite just yet. We do have one thing. Now, this is a big thing. Drum roll, please. This is the bet. So this was about 3 months ago at the beginning of when we were doing when the anime season started, and they were dropping all kinds of shows like Bleach and Chainsaw Man, and of course Blue Lock came out.
Oh yeah.
And during that episode, Charlie and I were talking about something that was going on with the main, I guess, antagonist Ego. He's kind of doing machinations or whatnot. And I asked Charlie a simple question, and Charlie's answer was basically, no, I trust that what's going on. I trust this dude, and his motives seem legit enough. And I was saying, I don't trust him. This is a very, very, very bare bones breakdown of a 15-minute conversation.
I don't remember this shit at all.
That's all right. You don't have to, because I have a video. I'm rolling right now. But that's the basic setup for this video, is that Charlie was in favor of what the dude was saying, and I was saying I don't trust it at all. I don't trust anything he's saying. I think it's all shit. And Otis, because he'd seen it before, couldn't weigh in. So here it is. Mm-hmm. Do you think the whole idea of, you're the lowest of the lowest, you're at the bottom rung, you're the bottom 300 here at this camp? Do you think that's even true? Or do you think Ego's playing mind games? And actually, that pretty much he tells that same story to everyone there, so they all feel that much hungry and more motivated to work their asses off.
I think it's true.
You could be completely right, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was playing some mind games.
To make this interesting, are you willing to put a wager on who's right about this?
No, I love wagers.
Yeah.
No, I love wagers.
We can do it. What you want to put on E?
If Charlie wins, E, you have to do a full stream of Assassin's Creed. What do you think of it? Odyssey, Charlie? Which one do you think?
Let's go with 2.
So I do the full. My God, this is huge. This is painful. So I would have to stream Assassin's Creed 2. What game? Okay, if I'm gonna do this, what game is Dev gonna play?
Resident Evil. Let's go 5.
Which one is that? Is that Village or?
It's where he punches the boulder, where Chris punches the boulder. Okay.
Damn.
Now,
what's crazy is that we had started Assassin's Creed 2 and never finished that shit anyway.
you did. Yeah, you did. You did. And we can go back to it if you want to. You can, or maybe I will. Maybe I will.
I thought you were playing it. Who was playing it? Because I wasn't playing it, was I?
You were playing it.
Yeah, you were definitely playing it.
You were definitely playing it. Otis, I were watching you play it. And you're right. Yes, you are 100% right, Chris. Always give receipts. I run a business. I know how that goes. But so that was the bet, more or less. And if anyone here has watched or been watching or I guess read the manga for Blue Lock, you already know where this is going. If you haven't but want to, we're gonna get some spoilers here. We're going to get some spoilers, so you can clear out and come back later on. So here it goes. Here's a quick breakdown of things. To go ahead and play essentially to play the results of the wager.
Oh, they will all. The bottom? Wait, what? Yeah. Oh, that's That's cool.
That's actually smart. That's really smart.
That is cool. I like that.
It's dope because in your head you're like, damn, how the hell are these dudes gonna get past these next 4 buildings?
Okay, so quick shout out to RTTV who had the footage I couldn't acquire. But long story short, what basically broke down is that the Ego was lying. He was lying about everything from the start. Everyone was at bottom. He said everyone was at the bottom of the barrel from wherever they were. And that's what I wagered. I said that's probably what was happening. And Charlie didn't quite believe that. Charlie thought that he actually was being up front, essentially. And Otis, you already knew that from the jump, didn't you?
Yeah, I knew that completely.
You read the manga, right?
Mm-hmm. Still, I just got caught up on the manga again, and dear Lord, when anime catches up, oh my God,
I'd
I have no doubt.
catch up to the show because I still have only like 3 episodes into the show.
That's okay, no worries. But the thing is, the bet still stands, and they just proved this week before last, episode 11 showed this. So, in honor of the bet, that means Charlie will be playing Resident Evil 5 now. In honor of the bet too, it's got to be streamed, so that actually people can see it happening. But there is a loophole. There's a loophole because Resident Evil 5 is designed to be a co-op. If Charlie wants me or Otis to jump in there and be his backup, we'll do it for him. I come up with that. So let us know.
Hopefully it's not too. We'll look at the setup. If it's too hard to set up, I'll just do it myself.
That's great.
But
yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You guys ready to move into the last segment?
Sure. Let me go and get it queued up. And yeah, you ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Welcome to Die, baby.
Oh God, that felt so nasty to me.
It's been a while. It's the first one of 2023. First one of 2023.
All right, take it over. Take it over, Ian.
All right, on. So, in honor of Kaleidoscope and Giancarlo Esposito, this episode is all about heist, or more or less stealth, and stealth mechanics in video games. So this time we chose our favorite stealth games, or favorite games that use stealth in them, so to speak. And we have our list compiled. And as always, we try to make sure we don't have a whole bunch of crossover or overlapping, so we know which ones are kind of have different answers a piece. And we always start from screen left to screen right. So we go Otis to Charlie to me, or Lelouch to C Diesel to King. All right. All right. So Otis, you're number 4. I noticed you got the sticks as far as Okay. So Otis number 4.
It's going to be Deus Ex Human Revolution. This is a game that came back on PS3, and you were a super android, essentially. Well, yeah, android, because you were a human that had to go around and find this organization that was putting together some pretty bad machinery to take over the human race. You had to kill them and take their tech and put it into yourself. And obviously, in usual video game fashion, you end up pretty souped up. Really well done series. It was ahead of its time. It incorporated a lot of things that you see in games like Cyberpunk 2077 or like Fallout. Some of the later Fallouts where you can interact with your environments but still be in the middle of battle. I'm sorry, I'm also in the middle of battle. But really, bottom line, it's a really well done series. I wish they would update that over to PS5 because I think something like that would look very nicely on updated graphics.
So I would argue, in some sense, that's kind of what they tried to do with Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, to a degree.
In good old Mike Pondsmith, because I actually really enjoyed the first one I played was Deus Ex Human Revolution. I know it's not the first in the series, but it's the first one I played. I really enjoyed it, and because of that, I was looking forward to Cyberpunk. And unfortunately, Cyberpunk on the PS4 and PS5 didn't do as good a job as Deus Ex did, especially when it came to the stealth, as far as trying to make sure you actually giving the upgrades to your character. It's the same voice actor that does Snake, I think, or at least it sounds like him.
I believe it is actually.
I think it might be the same cat, but I really enjoyed Deus Ex, and the stealth really. I try to play the entire game without having to actually be over the top and confronting people. Use stealth the entire time. And it was a lot of fun. So yeah,
this is one of those games I saw because that was the time in PS3 era where I had got a new game maybe like 2 times a year, and I would see that around. I'm like, maybe I don't know if I want to spend my money on it. I never got it. It's something I may play through if they remaster it, or I may try to find an emulator somewhere maybe if they don't have it in the PS Now thing. That's a game I do want to get around to at some point though.
I think you dig it, brother. I think you dig it. Speaking of you, brother, now it's time for Charlie's number 4.
Mm-hmm. Hitman. So everybody knows about Hitman. This is a game. This is my first introduction to it was when I think it was the 5th one that they had for free for a PlayStation Game of the Month a couple years ago. I'd seen the movie initially. It was my first introduction to the character, and playing the game, I was like, damn, this is a really difficult stealth thing because it's so intricate and there's so many different minute things you can do to complete the mission. You can go guns blazing if you want to, or you can be still in costumes to get from place to place. And then watching YouTube videos of guys that were like speed running, I'm like, this is insane. People that can speed run this thing that took me like an hour and a half to walk through and figure out because it's just so intricate. I will say the mechanics, he's kind of stiff, like the character's really stiff to me. But maybe that goes into the difficulty of it. I don't know, but it's dope though. It's dope.
Yeah, I've seen because I haven't actually played it myself, but I have a buddy of mine. He's a friend of the show, James. Y'all have been on PSM with James before. He played the Hitman games from 1 through the most recent one, and he's actually really, really good at them. And his bread and butter is getting a costume of some kind and getting close to people and taking them out that way. And I've seen speed runs of people like that, just like you said, that's tear through these things. Like, what is going on here? It's like James Bond on cocaine or something like that. But yeah, it's a fun game to watch at least, nothing else.
It's nuts, man.
Right on.
Otis, you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, my dad played through these. I would watch them occasionally, but the play style was a little bit too slow for me, so I dropped them.
Yeah, it was very much so like it was pure stealth. Like you could go guns blazing, but that wasn't very fun to do because the gun mechanics weren't really good.
Yeah.
So this was like 100% stealth, where and then you could like take out your target 15 different ways, but you'd have to do 15 different things to unlock pathways for those 15 different ways. It's very intricate and time consuming. It's fun to play. I played it for I think maybe like a month or so. I think this was during quarantine when it first kicked off, but it got old kind of after about a month of me playing it because I'm just like, all right, this is just too slow.
Yeah. Real quick though, you said the movie. Which movie was this? Was it the one with the Timothy Oliphant or the?
It was a long time ago. I saw this a long time ago. I don't even remember.
Either way,
Now there. I mean,
either way,
there more than one.
There's at least
two. At least two. Yeah. None of them are good.
The character concept. I like the concept of the character.
Yeah, Agent 47 is a dope character within the lore of his verse. It just hasn't been executed well in video format.
Yep.
Netflix, you know what to do.
Oof.
It's probably coming to Netflix. That's one of those.
I'm sure it is. All right. So now moving on to my number 4. Then you got the sticks.
Yes,
right, my number 4. Old school. Sly Cooper number 2.
That stands number 1.
Oh, where it stand? Oh, yo.
Yeah,
Keep standing. So Sly Cooper, for those who don't know, this actually is a lot of fun, man. It's a game that's it's safe for younger people to play, but it actually does have a lot of innovations that old folks like me could enjoy. And the character Sly Cooper is a lot of fun himself too. And it's it really does. There is no like I'm gonna go ham and destroy everybody and kill people. They don't have guns in the game at all. It really is all about you having to use your brain and having to get in there clandestine style and sneak around and get to steal stuff with your crew. Another thing too is you have a crew. You actually have people to help you out doing certain things, have certain tasks, and it's a lot of fun. So I used to love Sly Cooper playing it. I played it all the time when I was younger, and now my niece and nephews who are like 14 who are into gaming and whatnot, I play with them. It's like 3 of the games in the whole series, and they actually enjoy it too. So
yeah, this is one of those games where I never played it because it was like I watched my uncle play it a little bit because it was the generation of maybe 2 generations before me as far as the gaming era went through. But I was really interested in it, so like I would watch a bunch of walkthroughs and videos on it and the lore and how that stuff worked out, and it was cool. It was very cool to me, that cartoonish but slightly serious noirish type. It was dope. I thought it was the series.
Yeah, it's fun. Okay.
Yeah, it came at it about time for me just because like this was the same time as like Ratchet and Clank and Jack 2.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So like I wanted it to be guns blazing, more violent, and it wasn't. So it never resonated with me the way that it probably could have. But I do recognize the the popularity of that series has affected a lot of people.
Do you enjoy stealth games like that at all, Otis?
Absolutely.
Okay, just curious.
What's funny, y'all, is I'm not sure if y'all remember this at the LA Comic Con this year. Actually, someone was cosplaying as Sly in his detective. Okay. Now moving on to more serious is Otis's number 3, y'all. This is about as serious as it gets.
Oh man, The Last of Us. Oh my god. If it was just to be rating a game individually, this would be the number 1. But if we're just talking about the aspect, it is my number 3. Thoroughly enjoyed this game. Thoroughly enjoyed this multiplayer. I'm beyond excited to see how HBO portrays it in this upcoming series that they have coming out in the next few weeks. The Last of Us is just
is that soon? This next few weeks? Damn.
Okay. Yeah, that and Invincible coming out in a couple of weeks. But just really beautifully done series. The stealth mechanics were a little inconsistent at times, just because sometimes the zombies could pick up on things that they weren't supposed to, and sometimes they wouldn't pick up on things that they would. It was they could use a little bit of more balancing, which they did eventually do in The Last of Us 2, but that game, the mechanics were definitely upped in that game. The story was down, to say the least. So I won't mention that one as much, but bottom line, fantastic game. The remastered version just came out on PS5 and also looks amazing.
The remastered version is the definitive version of that, because it actually has the nuances to that, they refined the things you're talking about, Otis, as far as the zombies with. There's no inconsistencies there. It's a much better playthrough.
That was my first introduction. When I first got a PS4, one of my homeboys from school had the access code that came with the bundle that he got, but he already had the game, so he gave me the code and I played through that shit. The remastered version, I was like, damn.
Yeah,
that was like a Ghost of Tsushima type of like first playthrough where you just like overwhelmed by the world, and zombie stealth was something I never thought would be well done.
But it's the single most logical thing possible. It's like, yo, who would you want to be stealth from the most? Is zombies or things that would just kill you, that can hear you very, very well, would come after you. So yeah, of course, zombies are monsters. Yeah, absolutely.
And the sound design for these zombies was so well done, with like the
clickers,
the sound cues, and it was dope. It was dope.
No, it was fantastic.
I gotta play that second game at some point. I know people don't like it as much, but I'm gonna play it at some point.
The mechanics mechanically, oh my god! Playing the game itself is actually significantly better than the original.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's the story issues that people have with that shit.
It is what it is. Speaking of which, of the story and everything, I'm not sure if y'all heard about this, about how our boy Jensen Ackles, aka Dean Winchester, campaigned hard to be Joel in the Last of Us TV show.
I won't be mad at that.
I would have loved that myself personally. I would have loved that.
I think he fits it.
I think he fits
he fits Joel really well.
I think he pretty much is. Like, if you see his man beard in The Boys, and you've seen any episodes of Supernatural, say season 3 and onwards, where he goes full rage and is always angry about stuff, he pretty much is Joel lots of the time. It's like, and he's wearing flannel all the time too. It's like he basically was campaigning for it since he started his career. So I was like, damn, it could have been so cool if he had gotten the role. But
I'm not mad at Pedro though. I think
I'm not mad at Pedro. I'm not mad at Pedro.
He looks like that nigga Joel too. That's the crazy thing.
Like, he does.
Yeah, I'm not mad at Pedro. But yeah, that's it. Okay, all right. Moving on though. So let's see here.
Charlie's number 3.
Charlie's number 1. I'm sorry, not number. Is that number 1? Is Charlie's number 3? Charlie's number 3.
Yeah. Dishonored. A lot of people may not know what this game is. I don't know how big it was. This is before I was really on the internet like that. And I saw this game for like a budget in GameStop. It was one of those not dollar bin, but it was one of the cheaper ones they had there. And this is a really different type of game for me, because I'm not in the first person games like that at all, really. I like to see the world a lot more. So the first person stealth game, and then it had like the parkour mechanics, and it was dope. I really enjoyed this. I can't recall too much about the story. I played this a long time ago, but it was dope.
Yeah, so I played Dishonored 1 twice all the way through. It's great. It's also set bizarrely enough, it is first person, but it's almost set kind of a weird alternate Victorian era type of thing,
like steampunk kind of sort of.
Yes, it has steampunk elements, but it also has elements. It also reminded me of BioShock, because you have powers, abilities.
A lot like BioShock.
Bioshock. So it's fun being stealth, full blown stealth, almost like Assassin's Creed first person point of view, but also having actual powers like a Bioshock or X-Men mutant type of thing.
Mhm.
But it all came together really, really nice. Has a very deliberate art style, and it got a lot of acclaim. And they even had a part 2 which came out where I think you're the daughter of the main character. Is that right, Otis? Or
you were his daughter.
Your daughter, yeah. So it's
it was no near the claim that the first one had, but it was still a pretty solid game.
Yeah.
But
So
Bethesda did their thing.
So it was a bigger game on the internet then.
At the time, it wasn't like it's big, obviously, like Halo or anything like that. But it still it was a different thing. It was innovation. People appreciate
it came out during the peak of Bethesda's popularity. It's behind Skyrim and Fallout and all of those. They put that out, and it came out and did pretty. It performed well.
Yeah.
It was never like a cult classic type game or anything like that, but people who played it know how the quality of it.
It was legit. Yeah. I mean, if you said if you're coming out behind Skyrim and Fallout, the games are like massive things. Of course, it's gonna get lost in the shuffle some, but it was still legit.
Fair enough. Cool.
Okay. All right. Now moving. Oh, sorry.
No, next one.
Okay, moving on to my number 3. Now, this one is weird. I know you're like, what, Uncharted 4, but there actually are a lot of times in these games you have to use stealth. And bizarrely enough, the stealth, you can actually get a lot done with it. And they actually refined it pretty well in the 4th game. This is an example of how it's done. It's part of it is that the shooting mechanics aren't always perfect in these games. So it's almost behooves you a lot of time to take them down with stealth instead. And one that makes it fun with this game is how he oftentimes will say something while he's doing it, or something will go wrong. He'll have to comment on that or whatnot. Those little innovations with the stealth make it fun too. So I gotta give Nate Drake some love. Shout out to him.
That was like one of the main things that kept me away from that series outside of the puzzles, because puzzles annoy me in games. Like they're there and I'll do them if the game mechanics are really, really well done, and I'm like, all right, fuck it, I'll get over the puzzle. But for the fact that shit had like a lot of puzzles that are really intricate and the shooting mechanics weren't really the cleanest, I'm like, I'll pass on this.
Yeah.
But the storytelling was immaculate, and the way that they designed their levels to be so destructible and being a part of the storytelling itself was phenomenal.
Like
Uncharted is the blueprint for a lot of video games going forward, in my opinion. I feel like there's a lot of that in God of War, a lot of that in Rising, and plenty of that in The Last of Us.
Because it's by the same studio, Naughty Dog. I mean, like
Naughty Dog on their shit, boy. Naughty Dog, boy.
Yeah, they're on top of things. I mean, that's the whole idea of storytelling through gameplay, like in God of War, especially Dad of War and everything. It came about because of these type of games, so to speak. So it's I love it. I thoroughly enjoy it. It makes it that much more fun too. And also you feel that much more invested in a character that is trying to be stealthy, if it feels like a real character as opposed to just some nobody. So
did Naughty Dog do Sleeping Dogs too? Was a different?
Oh, that game, yeah, where you're you're
like undercover FBI or
like the mafia, the Asian mafia. That's
one of my favorite games ever, bro. I love the story, the fighting, and the game mechanics were dope. I feel like I was in fucking. Was it Tokyo? That wasn't Tokyo, was it? Or were you in?
It was something Shanghai? Like that though.
Maybe
Sleeping Dogs. Yeah, but if you played the one that was like kind of remade, or kind of remade, but like actually had the DLC
remastered version.
Yeah, remastered version. Yeah, it's much.
I played that when I still had an Xbox 360. I was like, I got that for I think it was like a free game in a month or something like that when I was over there playing.
Yeah, they're trying to.
They had their own like red wedding in that shit. That was fire. That was like my favorite level.
That's an underrated game. Yeah, Sleeping Dogs is a good game.
A Naughty Dog. Somebody give me a remastered version or a second game, please.
I don't think it's Naughty Dogs though. I'm not sure what the company made it.
I'll look it up. Go ahead. I'm gonna look it up.
All right. So moving on to Otis's number 2.
Oh my goodness! Gotta talk about my man Sam Fisher. This is really the game that got me into. Well, between this and the series for my number 1, it got me into stealth games really heavily. This game felt like playing a Mission Impossible game scaled up to like 35. Seeing some of the things that Sam Fisher could do. Like I feel like him and Snake were always in a constant competition, but
yes, 100%. It's not even a deal. Yeah.
Is that the same verse?
No. They just came out during this. Their games were peaking during the same era, so like it was things that you would see that Snake would do stealth wise. They'd have to incorporate into Splinter Cell, and They were just in a
You get
kind of
meta
little
with
battle
it,
back and forth.
where Snake would comment on something like referring. Yeah, they get meta though. They get
Mhm.
meta.
I want to
You
play
know,
that
but-
game really bad.
I mean, Splinter Cell. The story was top tier. The gameplay for the time period was top tier. That's one that I would love to see make a comeback with modern day.
Is there not
graphics.
what's the earliest version or like the most modern version of the game?
It was called like Sam
Ooh.
Fisher or something. It's in the same line of the Splinter Cells.
How
It ma-
recent? When did it come out?
I think it's Xbox One. I believe it's
Mm.
Xbox One, right?
Okay.
Was the
I
Xbox
believe
One?
it's that recent.
I thought it was 360.
I
Because
believe it's- I
the
believe they
original
have
set of
one.
Splinter Cells came out like PS2, Xbox original days.
Yeah. That's when I first
I'm
seen
gonna
it.
look it up.
That was like one of the only times I've ever seen my granddad game was when he had that original Xbox and I saw that game in there. It was like
Yeah, I mean,
that.
it's another one of those Tom Clancy stories. So like all the military people kind of had a draw to them too.
This nigga played that, the original Blade game, and that Catwoman game,
Oh,
the Halle
wow.
Berry Catwoman game.
Oh my God.
Those are his three.
That hurts my feelings a lot. I'm angry now.
I played the fuck out of those games. That game.
That
was,
cat.
Sorry.
yeah.
So here it is, real deal. Our next bet: whoever loses has to watch Catwoman, starring Halle Berry.
I'm mad at that.
Sober.
I'm mad at it. It's bad,
That's
but it's
impossible.
one. It's funny bad to me. I watch it.
That's all you, boy. Where's the most recent one? Let's see.
And I looked up the producer. So this is also some funny shit and how it crosses over. The studio that did Sleeping Dogs is Square Enix.
Oh, okay.
So they've been.
Well, they probably they distributed and or maybe produced it, but did they actually make it?
Hold on, I'm gonna look it up again. I just looked it up. It said the developers, United Front Games, Square Enix Europe, and Faro Interactive were the developers.
Mm-hmm.
And then the publisher was Square Enix and Faro Interactive.
Yeah, I figure Square Enix published because they publish so many games it doesn't even make sense.
So they said their Europe division was part of the development team for it.
Hmm.
But it checks out like combat. They do combat very well. So for that game to be like that fighting in that game, the mechanics now were really fucking dope to me.
Sure. No, it makes sense. So when I looked it up, it said 2018. It was Sam Fisher Ghost Recon.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure what system was that 2018. Maybe I think it's Xbox One was around.
Yeah, that is Xbox One. That's for sure.
Yes, that's the most recent one I could find. So yeah. Okay. All right. Moving on to Charlie's number 2.
Yeah.
What you got this?
Hey,
sorry.
AC boy Origins. To me, this game was in stealth wise probably the hardest one due to the fact of they had the MMO mechanics within the game as well. You could get it like usually in other games, if you just do a stealth takedown, they're dying no matter what it is, no matter what kind of armor they have on. But in this game, because they have that MMO RPG type of mechanic in it, if you're a lower level, that stealth mechanic, you're not taking them down. So you have to be very methodical about the type of takedown you're doing to implement the most damage. And then plus, again, the first black assassin you get to play with. Well, I think Adewale was a thing in Assassin's Creed 4, but he was in the main character, his main game. It was dope. You're in Egypt. The environment's dope. That game to me all around, that game is up there for me. It was I don't know how many games has the setting of Egypt, but that one I felt like I got to see what Egypt would look like in an accurate depiction with all the animals, the mirages they would have there, dust storms and shit like that in the desert. It was dope.
Yeah, that one definitely looks clean, boy. That actually looks really good. And just when I was cutting the footage, I mean, hearing his voice, the voice actor, was a lot of fun too. It's amazing how the Assassin's Creed games have evolved over the years because they've been around since 05 or 06. They've been around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And you just see how far they've come. Like you said, the MMO RPG elements that have gone into the games. I haven't played any of Origins, but I beat the hell out of Odyssey. And Odyssey has that same mechanic that they use from Origins in it. So yeah, it makes a different experience.
I like what they're going with for it though. They're doing because I was kind of divided where I thought it was all right having the MMO aspects in it, but I did kind of have the nostalgic feeling of the original ones. But they're making sure they're kind of like giving fans one may be an MMO and the other one may be more traditional. They're trying to appeal to fans by giving different games and different stories. I like if they do it well, they could give out a bunch of different games if they do it well and it could be successful.
Yeah,
we'll see how it
but
goes.
but you have to. I mean, regardless of all that too, as far as MLS, you have to just tip your hat to the Assassin's Creed brand. I mean, that's kind of the new. It was the next generation of stealth games. I mean, it incorporated parkour and of course, and then also stealth and actually assassinating people. People are hyped for it, so to speak. So it's a.
I'd be interesting to see. I'm not a gaming historian, but I feel like there's a lot of things taken from AC, and also my number one that people took forth and put in their games going forward, rather stealth or not. But
yeah, I'm sure there. All right. Speaking of moving forward, my number 2, Yami, is going a bit different here. Alien Isolation. Now, have any of y'all played this one before? You heard of it before?
I've heard of it. I had a friend that had it. I watched him play it.
Jesus Christ. This thing, it is a nightmare in the best possible way because you have to be stealth. There is no option of, I'll go ahead and go ham and shoot him in the head, or you know what, I'll pick up that pipe and throw this. No, God damn it. You have to be stealth or you will get got. Even if you are really, really quiet, you can still get got. You try to hide from it, get in a locker. If you close the door too hard, get got. If you breathe too hard when you're in there, get got. If the monitor you have try to see where he is on the map is beeping, you didn't put it on mute, get got. It is the very quintessential definition of get good or die trying, especially in stealth. It's a lot of fun, but it is nerve-wracking as hell.
How the fuck do you stealth take down a xenomorph?
You don't. That's the point. There is no stealth takedown.
There's no okay. You just hide.
No, it's only one. It's you. It's literally you versus the xenomorph for the entire game, basically. And he's also stealthing around. He's also pure black, and it's like you versus him. Who will survive, so to speak? And oftentimes it's him.
So you just running the whole time.
Yeah. So you're hiding and everything, but it's a lot of fun. But my God, you have to be paying attention. And oftentimes you can really just sprint down a hallway because he'll hear you. He has really good hearing, like Daredevil or some shit. But it's a lot of fun, man.
Oh,
all right. So now we're getting to the big leagues. Obviously, we got to put this. We had to put on the list. Let's go ahead and do it.
Yeah, like I mean, there's no universe where Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots don't make this list. The best games to ever exist in general to me when it comes to the shooting mechanics were high tier. The story building was on another level. I mean, the sandbox that they made for their levels was a cornerstone that shaped a lot of games going forward. I mean, the story is almost flawless. You know, and being able to incorporate everything that they had in the previous game to culminate to like this final moment of Snake and the world that they have built. It's just beautifully done game. There's so many different ways to play it. You can go full on, stealth with it, where you can get a trophy for trying to go through and playing without getting a single kill.
No kill run. Yeah.
Right. Or you can go full on loud and just like, yep, I'm gonna get the biggest guns I can get and then blow up everything and see how it turns out. Then to be able to have a game that's fun doing both is another impressive feat in my opinion.
But also they have the innovations as far as how you do it. Like that example right there in the clip, as far as I'm gonna knock this dude out, but I'm knocking the wall first so that this guy knows that I'm here and he's coming over here. Now put this dead body, or it's not that body here for him to inspect. Once he's inspecting that body, I'm gonna go behind him, get him in the nuts in that way too. So it's all the different ways you can innovate things. Or of course the classic, the box, get under a box and kind of just wait there.
Right. Random box moving across the fucking
it's like
box, the gecko suit that you get eventually that lets you blend in with the environments behind you, let people walk up on you.
Which is basically broken. Yeah.
Or a lot of options, man.
Or my personal favorite is old perverted man, get a dirty mag and throw it down on the ground, have the guys look over it, bend over that, pick it up, look at it, and just kind of grab them that way too. There's a dozen different ways you can get them to. It's kind of similar to Hitman or whatnot. But even though I believe it technically predates Hitman. The original one predates Hitman.
Most likely.
So yeah.
And not to mention some of the most revolutionary boss fights. Like those boss fights are legendary.
Epic. Most epic things. I mean, there's so many other innovations in the games in the series too, besides that. But I mean, like if you got to mention for what's the third one called, Otis? Snake Eater.
Snake Eater. Mm-hmm.
With the dude the old man the sniper that you can literally you can change the time on your PS3 so that he ages out and dies. It's like what a bizarre they implore it, like, yeah, that works. Good job. He's dead.
Porno title. Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater. Oh shit! My bad.
I mean, it's supposed to be on a play just because the nickname for the main character is Solid Snake.
Yeah.
That sounds like an amateur porn star name.
I mean, it's from the 70s. From the 70s, yeah. I bet you there is. If you type in, go to Pornhub now, type in.
Knowing that his predecessor is Big Boss. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, it's fucking Ron Jeremy.
You get into BBC territory.
Okay. Moving on.
You brought it up. You brought it up multiple times. You can't back out now. But moving on to, I guess, completely different arena. Charlie's number one.
This is to me the pinnacle of the Arkham series. This is to me the best told story. All the best shit to me happened in this game in Arkham City. Also, on that same token, to me, Arkham City is arguably the best stealth. Like the Arkham series is arguably the best stealth games that ever exist. And so, because you've seen so many games take a bunch of their concepts and mechanics and implement them in their games going forward after that. And that was the first time. Maybe you guys have seen it beforehand, but that was the first stealth game I've seen in which your takedowns and the way you're going about doing things will slowly build up fear in the actual targets and make them do sporadic things, whether it's them run away and cower in fear, them like shooting at random shit, or even going in later in the games when as you're taking somebody down, you can have it to where you can't do it the same way, so you have to find out another way to do it. It was just dope. Like you felt like the Batman that everybody had seen in comics and movies and shows and different things like that. To me, yeah, that's like it's the pinnacle of stealth to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously legendary what they did with that. I mean, it was a Assassin's Creed and the Batman series, the Arkham series by Rocksteady, they kind of built off each other as far as how to do fighting mechanics and also how to do stealth mechanics, essentially. And like you said, the idea that you were able to instill fear in those around you. In Arkham City, you don't have a fear gauge or fear meter, but it does happen that the more bodies that get stacked up, people do get more and more afraid. Even in the first one, Arkham Asylum, they get more and more afraid, start firing like crazy. They don't know what to do. It is a very, very cool thing to actually see the game affected by your actions, so to speak. And to actually feel like you're in control.
We just described how that was already a thing in Metal Gear Solid.
I think it was done as well, though. I think it was perfected in that game. That's to me personally.
That's where they learned it from. They got it from that and then applied it over to it and
made it better.
On it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Made it better is arguable.
And then for me, the crazy shit is when you get in, if you ever played the multiplayer in not Origins, in the fucking the one in the snow. Oh my god, what's that shit called? Is it Arkham?
That's Origins.
Is Arkham Origins? Okay. Yeah. When you get to play as the actual villains or like the grunts, and when you standing around and the dude behind you is just gone, you freak the fuck out. Like you get the actual fear that the AI has felt in the previous game. It's crazy. Just seeing people just disappear and just get knocked the fuck out around you.
Well, that's one thing that's like you brought right there, the idea that you're right. Of course, the original Snake, well, not the original, but the one on PS1 came out in like 97 or so. I mean, that was before. That was like a whole full decade before any Arkham games. However, what this game has that the Snake games don't have is vertical takedowns. So you can actually be on top of a gargoyle, drop in, grab somebody real quick, and be out. Like you're saying, Charlie, as far as a person, you can be walking around and look behind you, and your guy is gone all of a sudden. You couldn't quite do that as well with Snake. You could do all kinds of great things, but you couldn't do something like that, so to speak.
Random explosions or getting pulled by like he's Batman, so he's a million different gadgets that can take people out in an instant, or like sonic batarangs and shit like that.
Even the gadget system from Arkham, I feel, is taken from Metal Gear as well. But we'll get into that into the next one too.
There's so many. I think what I like about it is how stealth games have built upon each other, so to speak. They've actually kind of they've stood on the shoulders before so it's good.
I get mad now if I play a game that has stealth that doesn't have like a vertical type of takedown or some shit. I'm like, I'm on this ledge and he's right there. Why the fuck can I just jump on him?
And I think that was one thing that we talked about 1,001 times. One of the biggest things I was missing from the Arkham Knights was that they didn't really do stealth nearly as well. And I get it, they're not Batman, but still,
we've talked about that shit.
We talked about that before. Yeah. So all right. So moving on to my number one. There's no surprise. Of course, it's on here. It has to be on here. And I'm an old ass man, so I'm gonna go with the original, the OG from the PS1 era, Metal Gear Solid. And this one, I didn't play any stealth. Again, it came out in 97, I believe. There were no stealth games like this at the time. Even Metal Gear Solid, which was on Nintendo before it, was completely different, and it was garbage.
So that was 8-bit.
It was 8-bit. So there was nothing like at all the idea of actually, going around behind boxes and knocking on things to get guys come your way, having visual cones as far as where people could see you and all the different types of takedowns and everything else, and putting guys in closets and hiding them. None of that was around before at all. It did not exist. So it was so innovative and so different, and I loved it. And in this particular game, also, it wasn't just you stealthing the enemies. The enemies were stealthing you beyond the fourth wall. Sometimes I'm sure you all know about Psycho Mantis, the whole part where he would really stealth you in your brain. You had to change your controller so you couldn't see what you're doing. You'd be in an elevator with a whole bunch of guys that were camouflaged. They couldn't see them. They'd ambush you. So it's all these different things as far as everyone was trying to out stealth everybody else. It's a full spy craft at its peak.
All right, that shit. Oh man, I've seen gameplay. Again, that was one of those things where I watched older family members play it, but I have a PS1 somewhere at home, but I never played it thoroughly. I think the only thing I played was like the Incredible Hulk game that was on that. Maybe.
Ultimate Destruction.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was one of the first games I ever just sit and watch my dad play start to finish, and going against the Gray Fox and seeing we saw a little bit of that fight there. That was the first time I really saw like a action cutscene. Like that was. Right. There was so many things on that Metal Gear Solid game that was just so far ahead of its time. So I got a high level appreciation for the series, man. I'm so excited that they are remaking it. I'm looking forward to see what that game looks like on PS5.
It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. I honestly don't know that Sony would be what it is today with PlayStation if it wasn't for Metal Gear Solid 1 and for Final Fantasy 7. They came out the same year. Like I think like 5 months of each other, and everyone and their mama got PS1s because of those two games, and they were worth it. They were worth the time and trouble and money. And they like you said, there's the cutscenes, the actual cutscenes that Hideo Kojima he wanted it to be like a movie. That was his main thing, start to finish, and it felt like one. Like you said, you watched it with your dad. Keep in mind, in 1997, voice actors in video games sounded like Link in Sega CD. They were not good.
They sounded like they were deaf people talking.
It was yes.
Don't get us canceled, please. Don't get us canceled.
The final episode of that podcast. But it was bad. It was really bad. So the innovations the game made was just like people couldn't get over it. It was fantastic.
Is that the last one, or somebody else?
That's the last one.
That's one, Brody.
Well, guys, we are near the end of our show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Church announcements, gather around my children. We have a bunch of projects we are going to be working on coming out soon. Obviously, we're going to try to finish up the DBZ documentary that we're working on. That will be done relatively soon. Beyond that, again, if you want to please show support to our friend Ethan here, and as well as us when it comes to supporting echelonGnovels.com, you will find a bunch of our books that each of us have created underneath Ethan and underneath Echelon, and a bunch of other original works that he himself has created and has other people that have produced underneath him.
And all the books are available digitally too. If you want to save a few bucks and don't want to have to wait for it to be shipped, that's fine. Everything we have is available digitally too.
Price of a footlong, man. Y'all remember $5 footlongs? Y'all know how good of a deal that was.
Less than that, yeah.
Go pick those up, man. Besides that, guys, thank you for your support. If you're watching this on other platforms like Twitch or Facebook, please show us support by going over to the YouTube channel at the Then and Out Podcast and give us a sub there. That's we're trying to spread our wings out a little bit more. Eventually we'll be going back to strictly YouTube, but we're trying to spread the wings and get some more reach and let people just see the dope shit that we do and we'll continue to do. So again, thank you for your support. We hope for your continued support, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
That Last of Us series, I'm thinking it's going to be a top 10 series for the 2023. I could be wrong. We'll see.